entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey now, fans of The Walking Dead, Matt Heywood here to bring you a new series for entertainmentbuddha.com, which will recap and analyze the best and most impactful scenes from each new episode of The Walking Dead. Season 6 of The Walking Dead has now kicked off, and it was a doozy, but not every scene was great or pushed the narrative forward, so let's get to breaking down the most important scenes from episode 1, which is titled, First Time Again. In total, there were 6 key scenes from First Time Again that helped to expose more of the show's plot, as well as what may be in store for Rick and the gang in Season 6. These key scenes aren't ranked. The order I'm presenting them in just happens to be with the way they occurred in the show. You ready for this? Let's rock and roll. Brain style. The first most impactful scene from First Time Again is the one where Rick and Morgan first find the quarry. First off, I do have to mention that I just said first way too many times. Secondly, I loved how the flashbacks were featured in black and white, not only for how the style gives the nod to the comics, but also to help distinguish the two timelines featured in this episode. Brilliant move. Cheers, Greg Nicotero. The reason this scene is so important is because it helped to reveal why we saw Rick and the Alexandria crew executing an impressive plan that involved dealing with a shitload of walkers trapped in a rock quarry at the beginning of the episode. It also gave Rick more ammo to take control of the Alexandria group and toughen them up, but it also showed that Rick still has a bit of humanity left in him after he decides to bury Ron's dad outside of Alexandria, rather than leaving it, or his body, for a free walker meal like he first wanted to. This scene was also important because it revealed to Rick, as well as the audience, how Alexandria remained relatively untouched by the zombie apocalypse, but thanks to the extra large gathering of zombies now, their moans and groans are only causing more to bum rush the area, which is why Rick and Morgan rush to action and start planning how to deal with the zombie mosh pit in their backyard. The second most impactful scene featured in this episode is yet another flashback. This time, it was the one of the group meeting with Rick he held to explain the whole quarry situation. The reason why the scene is key is because it showed Rick's ascension to the de facto leader of Alexandria. He at least now has full support from Deanna, who is still shell-shocked from watching Reg get murdered at the end of Season 5. Her giving Rick's plan the okay is essentially her vote of confidence in his leadership, which leads the other Alexandria residents to also buy into Rick's quarry plan. This scene also fully introduced Carter, who clearly doesn't trust Rick after his bonfire escapades, and just generally is a prick to him and tries to cockblock all of his plans. It helped to explain why this guy was barking at Rick during the opening when they had to kick off their plan early. He just came off as a weenie, and this scene showed us why. The third most impactful scene from First Time Again is the one that featured a flashback of the group building the pool table's pocket-style deflection wall, which was needed to steer the zombie horde away from Alexandria during the Million Zombie March, led by Daryl himself, Sasha, and of course Abe. The reason this scene is a standout is because it showed another conversation between Rick and Deanna that featured Rick pressuring her to make the group tougher and more secure by training them with guns in Alexandria. We later find out that Deanna agrees and does allow the citizens of Alexandria to arm themselves, so Rick has essentially turned Deanna into his puppet to push his agenda. This scene also showed Rick trying to toughen up the Alexandrians by forcing them to fight a few walkers that stumble upon their wall work. Unfortunately, they all puss out, and Rick and his gang jump in and slaughter the walkers like real men. But it showed how Rick is taking more of a lead in the affairs of Alexandria to mold it the way he feels it has to be for all of them to survive. The fourth most impactful scene is the one where Eugene stumbles upon Carter's plot to kill Rick. This scene was important to further flesh out the concerns that certain Alexandria inhabitants don't trust or necessarily like Rick, as well as to further develop the rift between Carter and Rick, which was important for another key scene I'll highlight in a bit. It was just fantastic at establishing the level of fear that Carter and his group have for Rick, as well as Rick's dominance after he walks in on the plan and beats Carter down like a little bitch. It's clear that everyone who hasn't spent the past few seasons with Rick is afraid of him now, and that feeling may also be popping up amongst his own supporters. The fifth most impactful scene is a short one, but a great one thanks to its reverse foreshadowing. This scene is the one where Rick and Morgan are talking after the whole plot to kill Rick was broken up and Carter was put in his place. Rick is conflicted about his actions, but eventually admits that he really wanted to kill Carter because he's the type of person who shouldn't be alive in a zombie apocalypse. Rick said someone like Carter will only die in the end, and that people like him only get others in trouble because they're not equipped to deal with the shit show that life has become thanks to the zombie outbreak. The reason this is such a key scene is purely for its foreshadowing, which was a bit reversed thanks to the fact that we already saw Carter get bit and fuck up the Million Zombie March plan, so the scene was a callback to that moment and how Rick's prophecy did come true about Carter. The final most impactful scene from First Time Again was its very last. Just when you think Rick's plan to lure away the horde of zombies will be a success, even after Carter derailed it with his death groans, a loud-ass siren goes off coming from Alexandria's location. Not only did this scene set up the next few episodes, ultimately making it very important, but it also had a severe level of the unknown, which is a key component of The Walking Dead. Just like the teases of the W from last year, this air horn scene allows fans to speculate on why it is being blared. Is it Gabriel, who hates Rick and wants revenge after Rick shits on him for wanting to volunteer for the quarry plan? Is it someone else at Alexandria who wants Rick to fail? Could it be Ron? Who knows, maybe it's the W people, aka the Wolves, who don't want their supply of walkers to dry up. Only time will tell, well, at least another week until the next episode airs, which is why the scene made the list for this episode's most impactful scenes. Thanks for watching, everyone. I think we're in store for another fantastic season of The Walking Dead, so make sure to stay tuned to entertainmentboo.com for future episodes of our new Most Impactful Scenes video series for more analysis and insights. This is Matt Heywood signing off for EB, reminding you to hit the site on a daily basis to make yourself a better geek, one post at a time.